सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our webinar of today. And we are very fortunate to have Rajan Bhai with us again. And he is going to speak to us on a very interesting subject, and I'm sure everybody is going to enjoy it very much, because he is going to speak to us about a conscious journey from life to afterlife. As we make a transition from life to afterlife, consciousness remains. And it's very important to know this, because it contains a great key into the secret of our own existence. So Rajan Bhai is going to unveil that secret, and I'll request him to please come speak to us. Thank you, Rajan Bhai. We are so glad to have you with us.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here again. So we are going to talk about death and how we can make our death more fruitful, and how we can work now for the death which is yet to come. We'll try to understand 4 different kinds of energies. The first is what we call the energy of thought. So not the thoughts which we have, but the energy which goes into the making of thought. We can call it as Vichar Shakti. Right? So this energy has a certain speed. And when we talk of the energy of emotion, then we are talking of something which travels at maybe 30 times the speed of thought. So emotion is much faster than thought. So we have the energy of thought, we have the energy of emotion, we have the energy of sex, which again would be about 30,000 times faster than emotion. Now we must understand the difference between the energy of thought, the energy of emotion, and the energy of death. The energy of the energy of sex, and beyond sex is the energy of death. But both these energies move together. So the energy of sex, it allows something which is in an unseen dimension to take up form in a seen dimension. So we say that the soul is in an unseen dimension, and the energy of sex allows that soul, it makes a passage for that soul to express itself, to manifest itself in a seen dimension. Now, wherever there is sex, there is death. They always move together. And we must understand, for something to pass through the limits of time and space, there must be the creation of the energy of death on a very high scale. And this is one of the things that when man discovered nuclear power, he discovered a tool which can allow you to pass through the limitations of time and space. Let us look at this from another angle. That when a man and a woman meet to have a child. So we call that the energy of sex, which allows the soul to manifest as a child. They create a passage to allow the soul to manifest as a child. But if we go one dimension lower, in the world of the cell, then there's a tremendous creation of the energy of death, which allows for the energy of life, which allows the sex act to become a passage for the entry of a soul. And that is why these energies move together. So we will see that on a lower dimension of time and space, that in the world of the cell, millions and millions of sperm have to die. And it is the death energy of those sperm which create the push which allows the soul to manifest as a child. So we have to see that sex and death move together. Sex is death and death is sex. One of the things which the medical profession cannot understand is that if one sperm is needed to fertilize an ovum, why do we need a count of more than 20 million for the male to be fertile? Only one is needed. Why do you say sperm count is low? But they don't understand that so many have to die for that one to be born in another dimension of time and space. And this is something which is beyond medical science. And it is the death of those millions and millions of sperm which allow the soul to manifest as it breaks through time and space. Now, let us try to put two dimensions of time together. We have our dimension of time, which we talked about some time ago. And we say this is the line of time which we create from our birth to death. Later on, we will see this is not a line, it is a circle. Right? And we have another dimension of time from which this circle arises and again it sort of dissolves into. So we will call our line as time, and we will call that dimension which is from which it arises as eternity. Or we can use the Greek word infinity. Now, supposing we say that there is a spirit in that dimension, and that spirit is formless, that spirit is endless, that spirit is infinite. But the minute it wants to come into this other dimension, it has to work with the barriers of time and space. So it has to take up form. It cannot be infinite. It is now limited. So in this desire to experience life, the soul has to give up its formless dimension of eternity. There is a sacrifice of eternity in the spirit to become a body and express itself as a body. And it is, can we go into meditation and reach that state where we sacrifice this state of infinity? And if we can consciously come into that state, then we can reach that state where the formless became the form, and we can experience that state. And that would mean that when this form, the form of the body breaks down, we are already a witness in the formless. I don't know if I've been able to come across. So now, this does not mean that the energy of sex has to be created. I will just go into the anatomy of the energy of sex. When in sex, there is a moment of orgasm. And in that moment of orgasm, the inner being expresses its state, experiences its state of formlessness. I don't know if I'm coming across in this. And the minute it is over, it has to come back into its state of form. And can that experience be recreated in meditation? To experience that orgasm and to experience it consciously, because normally 99.99% of people who go into sex, they are not conscious at the point of orgasm. They lose consciousness at the point of orgasm. So they experience the formlessness as ecstasy, but they don't know what happened in that formlessness because they were never present there. Now, if we can, in deep meditation, create this experience, recreate the orgasm, and be present there at that point where we move into the formlessness and we sacrifice that formlessness, just as the spirit sacrificed that formlessness to take upon a body. Similarly, we consciously in meditation sacrifice that formlessness. Then we are duplicating what the spirit did. We have now reached a point where we are conscious at the breakdown of the form, and the form entering into a lot of subtle form, not into pure formlessness, but now we can be aware at that point, we can be conscious at that point. And this is the whole approach to which the teacher takes the student through when he wants to teach the student on how to move into conscious depth. Now we are going to go step by step. I just took the final climax first, but we are now going to go step by step to just give an understanding how sex and death are the same thing. Now here there is just one more point which I need to make before I start going step by step. Is we experience time as one event after the other. The mind puts one event, it puts another event, and it draws a line of time from birth to death. But what is real time? This is man-made time, hours and minutes and seconds. And what is real time? And if energy is real time, if time is energy, then if there is sex is the beginning of life and death is the culmination of life, but if sex and death are the same thing, they are two aspects of the same coin, then we die in the same time as we were born. Now, this is a little difficult to understand because we are so habituated to see time as a line of progression, or a progression of days and hours and etc. That when the experience of birth and the experience of death, they are the two things which happen in our lives which are the same. So energy-wise, the moment of birth is the moment of death. And this, when you go to an astrologer and really good, if you go to a good astrologer, he's going to look and he'll say, but the moment of birth is the moment of death. But we have to understand this in a different dimension. Now, we'll go to death. we can talk of three kinds of death. Involuntary death, where I don't want to die, but I have to die because everybody has to die. And the second we can talk about is voluntary death, where I accept death, I voluntarily accept death. And the third is a conscious death, where I'm witness to the phenomenon of death. There is no break in consciousness from the what you call living state to the death state. There is a one continuum. And we can call that as a conscious death. So we can talk about three kinds of death. Now, to make this journey from an involuntary death to a voluntary death, that would be a first step in our journey, that to make death voluntary. I mean, I have to get over this that I don't want to die. And for that, I have to work in my daily life. I can't say, okay, at the moment of death, I'll make death voluntary. It's not possible. I have to work from this moment, from this now. And what I have to work upon is the normal suffering which comes to me in my ordinary life. I am married, so I mean, all marriage involves suffering, right? So the husband wants something, the wife wants something. In the old days, there used to be only one TV in the home, and the husband wanted to see one program, and the wife wants to see another program. And there is suffering. There's the suffering of marriage. There's the suffering of togetherness. Now, can I make that suffering from involuntary to voluntary? And the characteristic is that I have made my suffering from involuntary into voluntary, is that I am free of complaining. The minute I complain about anything in life, I am saying I don't want it. And the minute I don't want it, it's involuntary. It's no longer voluntary. And one of the first things which Mr. Tavaria told me when I met him in 1988 is that a disciple scratches this word from his dictionary, complaining. The disciple cannot complain. That's the end. From this moment, you have to give up complaining. So the characteristic that I have shifted from involuntary to voluntary, and I have to practice this every day in life. I go to a restaurant, I may be served late, I may be in a hurry to reach somewhere. Can I move from involuntary suffering to voluntary suffering? I get down at the airport, there's a line of 4 hours. Can I move from involuntary suffering to voluntary suffering? This does not mean that we look for suffering in our life. In our normal lives, there's enough of suffering which we can transform from involuntary to voluntary suffering. And it is this transformation which we practice every day, which at the moment of death, it is like our bank balance. It helps us to move into death voluntarily. There is a total relaxation of the muscles. There is a total acceptance of the moment of death. And that becomes a beautiful death. And later on, of course, we can talk about a conscious death. Now, the second thing is, what are the symptoms of death? I'm not talking about an accidental death or anything. The normal symptoms of death, and where do these symptoms come from? So when a person is born, when he takes upon a form, he is given a bank loan by the 5 elements. All of us are sitting on a chair, and we we feel that the chair is supporting us. We don't feel that we are sitting on the chair, but the support has gone away and we are going to fall down to the ground. The Prithvi Tattva, the earth element, at the moment of birth, it has given us that sanskar that we can use the earth element. So I feel this support that I'm sitting on the chair. It is the earth element has given me this loan as a living person. And one of the points in redemption is redemption of all these loans which we take. Similarly, the earth element gives me the power to block. You may say, I want to get up early in the morning, but you may come and tell me that let's go see this movie at night. And I'll say, no, I don't want to come. This power of blocking, which in Shastra is called as yam. Yam is, of course, the Lord of Death, which is called as yam. To say no, that is because of the earth element. Similarly, the water element gives me its sanskar, so I can live life. I quench my thirst. I meet an old friend, I can quench my thirst. Right? So all the emotions, all the feelings of life are concerned with the water element. They're connected to the water element. I can move in life, I can float in life. So the water element gives me on loan its sanskar. Similarly, the fire element, I can see you. The fire element allows me to see. It allows the eyes to see. Similar, the wind element, it allows the skin to touch. And similarly, the ether element, the Akash Tattva, it allows the ears to hear. So the five sense organs, they can only work through this loan from the five elements. And it is nature giving us this loan at the moment of birth, which allows this physical body to work, which allows this physical body to to enjoy life. Now, at the moment of death, or we can say, as the moment of death is going to approach, these elements take their loan back. They're saying, give the loan back. And I may be sleeping on my bed, and momentarily, I feel as if somebody has taken my bed away. Keep the light. I feel that somebody has taken my bed away. Nobody has taken the bed away. The bed is still there. I'm still sleeping on the bed. But for a momentarily, I feel I've lost all support. The earth element is taking its loan back. I hope please put up your hands if I'm coming across. This is something very difficult to explain. Or I may be lying on the bed in the moment of dying, and I suddenly feel that the juices of the body are drying up. They're not drying up. I'm feeling very thirsty. I'll say to somebody, please give me a drink of water. Right? I'm feeling very thirsty. And I'm not really feeling thirsty. But the water element is taking its sanskar away. It's taking its loan which it has given to my five senses away. Similarly, I may see my beloved ones standing around me, and suddenly I feel I've gone blind. I can't see them. And then again, I can see them. But there's that momentary point where I've gone blind. Again, I'm seeing them. And it's the fire element taking its sanskar away. I may feel that I can't touch anything. I can't feel myself. I can't feel anyone else. The wind element is taking its sanskar away, and I may feel my ears are not working. I've suddenly momentarily gone deaf. Next moment, I start hearing everything. And these are the five symptoms of death, that the five elements are taking their sanskar back. They say this person is going to die. We gave him a loan to live these 70 years or 80 years or whatever, and we now have to take this back. So this is one of the symptoms that death is approaching. And for a conscious death, for a voluntary death, this is very important that we understand the symptoms. We now know that it is coming. We can take this in another way because birth and death are the same. Supposing we take someone to the hospital and say that she's having spasms and she's going to deliver a child. And the doctor will check the spasms and he'll check the intensity of the spasms. And he'll ask, what is the gap between one spasm and the other spasm? And he'll say, the last one came an hour or 2 hours ago. And the doctor will say, there's still a lot of time for delivery. When the gap between the two sets of spasms, decreases, then we know that the child is on the verge of being delivered. Similarly, these are the 5 symptoms of death. Now, these symptoms will come. They may come 24 hours in advance. We won't, unless we have studied them, we won't understand what is happening. But they may come after 2 hours or they may come after 3 hours. The moment of death is still far away. You see, the gap between the two sets of symptoms is, there's a space between the gap. And then the gap decreases. Moments will come where there will be an overlapping. With the fire element going, I feel cold. With the water element going, I feel hot. But suddenly I'm perspiring and feeling cold at the same time. Now the elements are overlapping with each other. And now the moment of death is coming close. What is the final symptom that the next moment I'm going to die? And we must remember this. It's very important. That the final symptom is I forget my own name because I'm going to leave my name over here. Supposing I say I know this person. I met this person 1 year ago, but I can't remember his name and I'm grasping for that person's name. I can't remember his name. Similarly, at the moment of death, I'm grasping for my own name. I've forgotten my own name. And remember, now the moment has come. Don't bother about your name. Do exactly what has to be done. So these are some of the symptoms. And if we can memorize these symptoms, then we know that death is approaching, death is near, and these symptoms, we don't have to worry about them. We have to do what has to be done. Now, at the exact moment of death, we will feel a deep pulling inside. And as if all the energy of the body is being pulled at one point, which will be at the lower end of the backbone. And this is for a reason. Yoga divides the backbone into 3 parts. It is like a coaxial cable. The backbone is like a coaxial cable. The outer part is called as Vajra. The inner thick part is called as Sushumna. And the small, tiny, silvery dot in between, which is a very thin, silvery nadi, is called as Chitri. It's much smaller than that. Very small, just a dot. Right? It's called as Chitri. Go back to my. Go back. Yeah. Now, in our life is totally controlled by the Vajranadi. And when we study the chakras, we will see that the Lord of the chakra is holding a thunderbolt in it, or she is holding a thunderbolt in one of her hands. They are talking of the Vajranadi. Now, the quality of the Vajranadi is duality of life. That today I'm happy, tomorrow I may be sad, day after. So this law of the pendulum, where everything swings from winter to summer and from summer to winter, everything swings in life, from everything in my mind to everything in nature. This swing is controlled by the Vajranadi. And the Vajranadi is pulling itself, and the arrow on the Vajranadi is our soul. The arrow on the Vajranadi is our soul. So it is pulling to allow the soul to get out of this, what you call, form of what you call blood and bones, etc., skin. And we feel that as a deep pull inside, and we know now at any time the arrow is going to leave the bow. Now, if a person is dying, it's very, very important that this movement of the Vajranadi, the arrow going out, happens as smoothly as possible. There is no friction to the arrow. Because once the arrow goes out, it cannot get any energy on the way. Once the thing is out, there is no petrol pump on the way. It completes its full journey. So whatever force is there is at the moment of release. It's like when you fire a gun, at the moment of release, the speed is the fastest. But when it hits its target, the speed is the slowest. Now, if I'm fighting death, I'm in an involuntary death, then the arrow is released. But even at the moment of release, I'm creating so much friction for that arrow that it is already losing some of its petrol. There's a leakage in its petrol. And we know there's no petrol pump on the way. So if a person is dying, it is most important to make him comfortable. If any people are crying in the room, tell them to go, because then his attention will be stuck over here on the people who are crying. And you have to whisper in his ear that you relax totally, allow things to happen. And I'll tell you later on what else has to be whispered, and allow the arrow to go out smoothly. Now, so this is death through the Vajranadi, which is going to happen to most of us, nearly all of us. And this can be what you call, it can be helped in a way. And one of the mudras to help is the Vajroli mudra. And I can talk about that just some other time, of how to practice the Vajroli and Ashwini mudras. Now, Vajroli mudra practice, it happens at the physical level, it happens at the psychological level. And at the psychic level, you reach a state where you can hold the Vajranadi, you can pinch it like this. And if death wants to come and take you, then it has to use the Vajranadi, but you're holding the Vajranadi, so you can tell death, hang on 5-10 minutes, right? Don't be in a hurry. I want to write my will or whatever. So you want to change your will or something, then you can tell. But if you've not practiced Vajranadi, holding the Vajranadi, then of course you just voluntarily allow it to happen. But if you do practice Vajroli mudra, then it is very helpful at the moment of death. Because consciousness, sometimes it takes a little time. The speed of the consciousness which we have is a very slow consciousness, and events may be moving too fast for us to hold our consciousness. The second thing is that the nature is very, very merciful. And everybody does not have a painless death. My body may be ravaged by pain. It may be, I may be having a very, what do you call, diseased body. There may be organ failure at every level. Please understand, consciousness has nothing to do with the health of the body. If the body is healthy, it is easier to hold consciousness, but consciousness is separate from the body. So now I'm going to find it more difficult to hold consciousness because there's so much pain in my body. There's so much automatic friction from the body, right? And that is why the practice of Vajroli Mudra is very important. So it allows me to bring, because of the pain of the body, the pain of my disease, the pain of whatever disease I'm dying through. It is just a nimitt, instrumental cause, whatever disease comes. And that allows me to allow consciousness to come to the moment of death. Now, one of the things which we can do is we can talk to the person who is dying, and we can help him and keep talking to him. Just as in the old days, we did not have what you call tape recorders in our car. And if we wanted to drive throughout the night, we would call a friend and say, you sit next to me and keep talking with me throughout the night so I don't feel sleepy whilst I'm driving. So similarly, nature is merciful. It wants to put the person to sleep. So before the person dies, nature puts the person to sleep so that he experiences a painless death. But our idea is to be conscious, right? So we talk to that person as if we are going for a whole night drive, and we want to keep that person awake at the moment of death. So there is something in us which experiences that moment. We've not moved into nature and allowed ourselves to fall asleep. And so we can help somebody by doing this. We will enrichen his death by doing this. I'm going to talk about two other kinds of death and come back to this. So this is death through the Vajranadi. A person, a yogi who has worked upon himself, he can die through the Shushumna Nadi. Now, there is a difference between death through the Vajranadi and through the Sushumna Nadi. In death through the Vajranadi, the arrow is pulled and it goes out. It cannot come back. In death through the Sushumna Nadi, we fall into the states, or we rise into the states of death slowly, step by step. We enter into death and move ahead. One of the most beautiful, commentaries or writings on a death through Shushumna Nadi is that of Gautam Buddha. And Buddha, when he knew that death was coming, he turned on his right side, and we see that famous posture where Buddha is dying, but lying down with the right, on his right side like this. And his disciple, Anand, who was his chief disciple, started giving a running commentary. Buddha's gone here, Buddha's gone there, Buddha's gone there, and Buddha's in this plane. And Buddha was going moment by moment, he was falling into the deeper regions of death. And one lady, this is how the story goes, whether the story is right or wrong does not matter, but it gives us a glimpse of the quality of Buddha's death. She came running and she said that my whole life I wanted to ask Buddha this question. I never got the time. And now I want to ask him this question. And Anand was giving a running commentary, just as we have a commentary on the cricket match of where Buddha was flying, where he was going. And Anand tells this lady that, look, where he has gone, now he cannot come back. And Buddha hears it over there. He comes back, he gets up, answers the lady's question, again goes on his right side and moves into death. Now, this is possible when death is from the Sushumna Nadi. And then we saw that within the Sushumna, there is a thin Nadi called Chitrini. The Chitrini moves up and it divides into two over here, and it enters the Brahmarandra from here and it enters the Brahmarandra from here. And there can be death through the Chitrini Nadi, and this will be a very different kind of death. The only recorded phenomenon of death through the Chitrini Nadi is that of Kabir. Kabir was on his deathbed and he was lying in his room, and he heard his disciples fighting outside that after he dies, one set of disciples, the Hindu disciples, were saying we are going to cremate him, and the Muslim disciples were saying we will bury him. And so Kabir, he went into the Chitrini Nadi, entered the Brahmarandra, took his consciousness there, and he created what we call Omkar, but not the Omkar we say, the Paranada. And that Paranada destroyed the physical body. When, after Kabir had died, when the disciples entered into his room, they found two sets of flowers. Flowers means not the flowers we pluck, but the Hindus call the bones as flowers, fool. They found two sets. The Muslims took one, and from that the Kabir Margi was created. The Hindus took one, and from that the Kabir Panthi was created. So we have one recorded instance where somebody has gone into the, what do you call, Brahmarandra through the Chitrini Nadi, and what do you call, died, just destroyed the body. I can give you one other instance. I don't know for sure, but this was definitely either a death through Shushumna or I had a childhood friend, and at a very young age, he went into some sannyasi, and I never heard from him in years and years. And around 1990 or 91, I got a postcard from him that I am now a guru and I have this ashram in Gangotri. And if ever you come to Gangotri, please do visit me and you can stay at my ashram. Anyway, one of Mr. Tawaria's last desires, which he had repeated many times, was to take me with him to Gaumukh. And we were going to spend some time over there. So after Mr. Tawaria left, I decided to go to Gaumukh. And on the way back from Gaumukh, I said, let me stop at Gangotri and visit this friend of mine. And what do you call? I went to his ashram. The disciples said he just died 2 years ago. So I just said, how did he die? I mean, I was around 44 or 45 at that time, 42, 43. So he must have, 2 years ago, he must have been 40 years old. So he said he just one day he sat cross-legged and he told us that he is going to die and that we should throw his body into the Ganga out of this window. And then he just did home and he died. Now, there is death from the Chitrini Nadi, there is death from the Sushumna Nadi. For us, there is death from the Vajra Nadi. And if we can practice the Vajroli Mudra, it's very important to help us in that moment of death. Right. Now, like I said, the moment of death and the moment of birth and the moment of death are the same. That means that a person starts his life from here, grows round the circle of life, comes to the moment of death, but does not die there. He goes back this way. The old man does not die, the young child dies again. And this is very important, very, very important. We must understand the concept of reverse time. And if you read Krishnamurti's, one of the books on his life, which I think is 1,000 Moons, it's written by Asit Chanmul. Very nice book. And one of the chapters is a day in the life of Krishnamurti. And Krishnamurti says that when I'm on the verge of going to sleep, I go backwards through the events of the day. So just 2 minutes ago, I was not on my bed. 2 minutes before that, I was not wearing my night suit. 2 minutes before that, I was having a cup of tea, etc., etc. I go back in reverse time. This concept of reverse time is very, very important. So I move from this point in life, I go around the circle of life, I come to the point of death. Then at the last moment of death, I go back 3 minutes. So this 70 years which I've come this way, or 75 years which I've come this way, it is like the unwinding of a toy, like the old toys are wound. It takes 75 years to unwind. And at this point, it is unwound. And then it goes back and it winds up again. And the young child goes out. The old man does not die. And this happens in 3 minutes, approximately 3 minutes. This is very important. And we must train ourselves for this conscious death. So, at the moment of death, I go backwards and I see my whole life in perspective. Perspective means the main milestones of my life in perspective, in reverse time. So I may see something which happened when I was 70 years old, then I'll see something which happened when I was 65 years old, and I'll see something which happened when I was 60 years old, 50 years old, 40 years old, and go back to the moment of birth and I'll die. So the moment of death is the moment of birth. Now, can this be used? Can we use these 3 minutes where we relive the main milestones of our life? I may have made so many decisions in my life which I regret. And if I go back, if I get 3 minutes to live my life again, and can I change those decisions? Can I say, I don't want to take this with me. I don't want to take this pattern with me. I don't want to take this disease with me. Can I change it at that point where that disease manifested? Can I change it? And this is something which is phenomenal if we can work with it. There's a very famous Sikh story. The sixth Guru, Guru Hargobind Sahib, he's the one who established the city of Amritsar. And he had a disciple who was the Raja of Saket Bandi. And the Raja had a, what do you call, kind of this thing, that every year he would come to stay with the Guru for 1 week. So every year he would come, and this was a kind of tradition with the Raja. And this year, before he was going to go to Amritsar to stay with the Guru, for a couple of nights before that, he would get a dream. And in that dream, he was not a king, he was a man of a lower caste. He was a man of a low Chandal. Then he would wake up in the morning and he'd say, I am a king. How come I'm having a dream that I'm a Chandal? Again, next day, the same dream. Again, next day, the same dream. So he thought he'll ask the Guru. So he goes to Amritsar, and the very next day he sends his man to the Guru's house, and he asks for the Guru to give him time to meet him. And the Guru sends his man back, says he has no time today. Again, the next day he sends his man. Again, the Guru sends the man back. He has no time today. The third day, early in the morning, the Guru's man comes running to the Raja. And he says, Guru Hargobind Sahib loved to go hunting. He loved to go for shikar. So he says, the Guru is going to go on shikar today. Would you like to join him? So the Raja said, yes, I'll join him. So they go into the forest. And at some point, they are separated. And the Raja is alone on his horse, and he's going, and there's a stream flowing, and he's going along the banks of the stream. He's lost in the jungle. And in the distance, he sees a hut. And the hut belongs to a Chandal. And people from the hut, they come out of the hut, and they look at him, and they can't believe their eyes. And the wife says that the husband I cremated a few days ago has come back from the dead. The children says our father has come back. The grandchildren say our grandfather has come back. And they all catch hold of him and they hold him. And he says, I am not your husband. I am not your grandfather, etc., etc. I am the Raja of this place. You please let me go. But they wouldn't let him go. After some time, the Guru comes looking for him. And when everybody sees Guru Hargobind Sahib, they fall down at his feet. And the Guru says that you please release him. He's not your husband. The person you cremated a few days ago was your husband, was your father, etc. And he takes the Raja with him. And then he tells the Raja that now you've understood the meaning of your dream. So the Raja says, no, I've not understood the meaning of the dream. He says, your destiny was to be born as a Chanda. Somewhere you got connected to the Guru helped you to be born as a king. But how will you fulfill your karma as a Chanda? That karma as a Chandal you went through in your dream. Now, can you understand the meaning of this? So in a 3-minute dream, we can experience a whole lifetime. And if we can practice with our dreams, if we can learn to be awake in our dreams, if we can learn to work with our dreams, then when we are conscious in the dream state, a 3-minute dream, we can experience all the major milestones in our life. When we are moving back at that moment of death, through all the major moments, if we have practiced every day in our dreams, then though that the stretch of time moves with our consciousness, we can change whatever we want to be changed. Don't think by hearing this we will be able to change it. It has to be practiced. Ospinski has written a beautiful book. It's called The Strange Life of Ivan Osokin. And Ivan Osokin is on the verge of death. And an angel comes to Ivan Osokin and says that, would you like to live your life one more time? And Ivan says, yes, of course I'd like to live my life one more time. The angel says, why do you want to live your life one more time? So he says, I won't make the same mistakes I made. I'll change everything. So the angel says, okay, given to you. And Ivan relives his life. Comes the moment of death. The angel comes to Ivan and says, did you change anything? He says, no, I made the same mistakes again. And so this, just by listening to this, we get a concept of what happens. But when we enter into our dreams and we can practice with our dreams, if you want, I'll take one session on dream yoga, how to enter into the dream consciously. So if we can enter into the dreams, work with our dreams, then 3 minutes of a lifetime can be, a lifetime of 70 years can be experienced in 3 minutes. And then in those final 3 minutes of our life, we can change so many things. So much can be changed. And can you see that when we are born, we are in a certain law of time and space. A child is very pure. A child is, in a way, very conscious. But around 5 years, the ego is built, where the child is rocking in the cradle and the child cries and the mother gives milk. And the child cries and the mother changes the nappy. And after some time, the child sees that everybody in the house is running around me. I say this and somebody does this. I say this, somebody does this. And this is the beginning of the ego. Right? He says, I am the king. Definitely, these are all my subjects. They're all running around me. So by 5 years, that ego is formed. And 5 or 7 years, he goes into the school. The prince goes to school, but everybody in school is a prince. Right? And then his ego gets hurt because another ego tells him something else. And then there's a clash of egos, right? Because that other ego which has come, he also feels he's the king of everything, right? So this, this waking of this ego, this child, when he is born, he does not have an ego. He's in a different state of time and space. When we die with an ego. So we have not risen higher than our moment of birth. We have gone lower than our moment of birth. Unless we can dissolve that ego and consciously go higher from that moment of birth. Can you see, we are born in a higher time, we die in a lower time. And this is our mechanical living. So if we can change everything in those last 3 minutes, then we die in a higher time. We move from we move one rung at least higher in the spiral of birth and death. So this concept of reverse time, and it's very important to practice in the dreams, to become conscious in the dreams, to work with dream time. Now we come back to the moment of death. And like we said, that we don't want to create as less friction as possible. And so we are talking to this person who is about to die, and we want to keep him conscious. So we are talking to him. But if he cannot bear it, if he wants to go to sleep, he cannot stay awake in spite of our talking to him, then allow him to go to sleep. There's nothing else we can do. but do whisper in his ear two things. And we are going to come to that. Now, like I said, when the bullet leaves the barrel of the gun, it is traveling at its fastest speed. Similarly, when the arrow leaves the bow, that is, the arrow is the soul plus spirit. And the arrow goes out, it is traveling at the fastest speed. Now try to understand here. We call these the three universes, Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha. The physical or the cellular universe, the one which we see with our five senses. The astral universe or the Bhuvalok, what they call, the one which can be experienced through emotions, through feeling, through sensitivities. And the Swahalok, which is the energy which goes into thought, the electronic universe, the cellular, the molecular, the electronic. Now, because the speed of death is fastest at the moment of death, the speed of the arrow is fastest at the moment of death, it does not travel from Bhulok to Bhuvalok to Swahalok. It is already in the electronic universe, Swahalok, because the speed is the fastest. We have to understand that these universes are, what do you call, we are like a sponge where all these universes interpenetrate us, outside and inside. So at the moment of death, the speeds are the fastest. The soul goes to the highest point in the electronic universe, in Swahalok. It leaves the Atma there and then it starts falling down. Now, this is something which we can try to understand. And it has many, what do you call, connotations. At the moment of death, there is direct darshan of the Atma. I may go to a guru. I may work for a number of years with a guru. I may do so many practices. And if I'm lucky, if there's still some grace, everything does not just depend on my practices. There is that moment of grace. If there's that moment of grace, then I may have a glimpse of that inner light. But here at the moment of death, that veil over the inner light has fallen apart and we see that inner light directly. And that is because the soul takes the spirit to the highest point in the electronic universe, and then it falls from there. It leaves the spirit. The spirit will re-enter at the time the child cries. Till then, the soul will journey in something else, in a different space, in what we call transit, what the Tibetans call as bardo. So, in that moment of death, there is experience of clear light. And that light is the light of the spirit. And we have not trained ourselves to look at that light. We are not looking with our physical eyes. We are looking at with some inner eye. That inner eye has not died. And the minute, if I'm looking at the light, and if I close my eyes, then I lose the light. So the person who is dying, we have to whisper in his ear that please continue looking at the light. Don't close your eyes. Don't blink your, what do you call, eyelids. We'll again, supposing we are going for a drive at night and a big truck comes on the road in front of us and it has huge, powerful headlights, you know, the new halogen lights, and we have to blink our eyes. I mean, we can't look. The minute we blink our eyes, we lose the light. And so the disciple, of course, is trained by the guru that in that state you have to look at the light. Don't blink your eyes. I'll give you a small story. My guru's wife, whom we used to call Mama, after Mr. Tavaria left, I used to go there twice a week to make medicines. And one day I was there and she said, Rajan, I saw him. He was in so much of light. And I said, Mama, te aankh to band naza kaira ne tame. I said, you didn't close your eyes. And she said, no, I closed my eyes and it went away. And this, we are not trained. We are not trained to what you call do this. And we must remember. And so we whisper in that person's ear. The most important thing is to absorb as much of that light as possible. And this is the most important part of our life, where we are looking at the divine, and the divine's light, we can absorb it as much as possible. And we have to whisper in that person's ear that please look at the light. He cannot hear our language. The brain which understands language is gone. But through sensitivity, he will understand what we are saying. The second thing we whisper in his ear is the guru is standing next to you. The guru does not have to be a person. There is help in the universe, and that help in the universe manifests as a guru, as a person. But even if the person is not there, the help is round the corner, right? So you have to tell that person, please ask for help from the guru. Unless he's asked for, he does not help. He has to ask. So we are whispering that person's ear two things: that you look at the light, don't waste this moment. And the second thing we tell that person is that if you don't remember anything else, at least remember to ask the guru for help. And even if he has had no guru in his life, it does not make any difference. The minute he asks for help, help is there for him. But he has to ask for it. Right. Now, this stage of clear light, it has to happen for 1 hour. My understanding with modern life and the more mechanicalness of modern life, in today's death, it is reduced to 45 minutes. Like so many things in nature are getting extinct, right? This darshan of the divine, the time is sort of, this is my understanding. I just take it with a pinch of salt. So we have now the first darshan of the light is direct darshan of the light. Then the soul falls down. The spirit remains there. And then the soul bounces back up. The second time it bounces back up, it sees the light again, but by then the spirit has been enclosed in a causal body, what we call as Karan Sharir. So that Karan Sharir, that what you call causal body, is not transparent, it is translucent. As if we have what you call windows in our bathroom. So if we see the light, we know somebody is in the bathroom. But definitely, if we try to look through the window, we don't know who is in the bathroom, right? But similarly, now the second darshan of the light is the light is as if it's through a veil, as if it's through a veil. It's not the pure, direct, what you call vision which we had first. And then the soul falls again one more time, and one more time it bounces back up. And the third time it bounces back up, it sees light, but it is the light after sunrise or after sunset, or before sunrise or after sunset. It sees there was light. It is like you see smoke, there must have been fire. It infers the light. It cannot see the light anymore, but it sees the beautiful colors which the light has left after setting. And these are the three, what do you call, visions of the clear light, which happen in the first hour after death. It's very important after a person dies not to move the body for at least 1 hour. If he's in a hospital and you have to pay more money for that 1 hour in the hospital, please pay the money, but don't move the body. See that nobody is crying in the room. Keep one person there who can do Omkar, and on and off he whispers in his ear to see the light and to ask the Guru for help. Now, after 1 hour is over, the spirit has been left over there, and the soul falls from the electronic universe to the molecular universe. That is from Swahalok to Bhuvalok. And the soul passes through a 50 to 55-day dream. In all the scriptures, this is called as the transit state. The soul is now in the transit state. It has left the clear light behind. A person who has worked on his consciousness and he has reached a certain state in his consciousness, he does not fall to the transit state. He tries to remain in the clear light for a longer period of time. But normally we pass through this transit state, which the Tibetans in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, they call it as 49 days. I've taken it as 55 days. When we were talking this with Mr. Tavaria, we were not happy with one or two of chapters of the Tibetan Book of the Dead because somehow some of those chapters have been tainted with. Now, what happens in these 49 to 55 days? We'll keep both the days. And we'll try to understand all our experiential history unfolds. And you can give it any kind of headings. We'll just go through the headings which the Tibetans give, but don't stick to these headings. Just try to understand the gist behind it. Supposing in my life, I have got angry, say 1,000 times in my life. What happens to that anger at the moment of death? So all those 1,000 angers will get together and they'll become one drop of perfume, which we call as essence. Essence travels across time. All the anger cannot go. It has to become one drop of perfume. It is like this, that I have a greenhouse of rose flowers. The rose flowers cannot go out of the greenhouse. But if there's a crack in the greenhouse, somebody far away from the greenhouse can smell the rose flowers. The smell escapes from this dimension of time and space to another dimension of time and space. And we are going to study that a little deeper in the next few minutes. So, all my experiences of life, they come together in a certain classification and they become essence. And that essence, my soul travels in that essence. My soul is surrounded by that essence and it travels. It travels through the transit state, and that essence, it becomes that 1,000 angers becomes a part of my already held essence, and the whole essence, it unfolds in those 45 to 55 days. I don't know if I'm coming across, but I'll try. The Tibetans have taken it in a certain way. They say there are 7 halls, the Tibetans say. And each of these halls have different paths. And each of these halls unfold in different ways. So supposing I'm holding on to a lot of jealousy when I die. Now, as I pass through the hall of jealousy, that jealousy is going to come to meet me. But that jealousy is going to come to meet me in some form. Can you understand? It may come in the form of a scorpion biting me. It is going to come in dream symbology. So now you understand that if I worked in my dreams, then for these 55 days, I'm in a long 55-day dream. And if we have worked in our dreams, then we are awake in these 55 days and we are changing so many things. So all my negativities, which of course the Tibetans will classify as Kam, Krodh, Moh, Lobh, Mad, Matsa, etc. These are the old classifications, but these are all the ornaments of the ego, these old classifications, right? The ego expresses itself in one of these classifications. But now we have many modern classifications. So we can say jealousy, and we can divide jealousy into jealousy and envy as two different things, etc. But in the old days, it was called mats, means jealousy and everything. So here now we have more knowledge, more data. And we realize that jealousy in my dreams can be expressed in so many different forms, right? Or it could be expressed in the form of a dog yapping at me in a certain way, right? So my own hidden psychic nature is going to unfold in 49 days in front of me. And if I worked on my dreams, I can work on my psychic nature. If I've not worked on my dreams, then I'll just pass through this transit state as if I have passed through everything in life mechanically. Now, please understand one thing. There is a difference between the rules of the dream world and our physical world. The dream world is the beginning of Bhuvalok, the molecular universe. In the physical world, if I want to meet you and I telephone you that I want to meet you, and you will say, I don't have time today, we will meet after 3 days. But in the dream world, I think of you and you are in front of me immediately. There is no space between thought and action. In the physical world, there is space between thought and action. I hope I'm coming across in this, I don't know. Can you understand? So here my jealousy is coming to meet me and I say, I want to be free of this, go away. That moment I'm free of it. Can you see my own psychic nature, which was binding me? It is coming to me in front of me as a dream. I'm looking at it consciously and I'm saying that, please go away. I don't want to meet you after 3 days. You better come now and meet me, right? And so time and space compresses in the dream. And all this, the Tibetans have a whole science behind it, that there are 7 halls and 7 parts of 7 halls. And you go through these 7 halls, which is your own psychic nature, in 49 days, which I have again reduced to 45. Now, how can we help a person who has died? How can we help him? We have helped him in the first hour. But after the first hour, how can we help him? So what we will do is that we will take something in which his sensitivity or feeling was there. Supposing he had a vest or a hanky or something where he used to use often, where his sensitivities or feelings. Supposing you insulted me and I took out my hanky and I wiped my perspiration, then my sensitivity is held in that hanky, right? So we take something where his sense and we put one photo of his, but the photo has died. Please understand, the photo has died. We have burnt the photo, cremated the photo. And we put something for him to eat. And we, at the moment of putting it, we sit down there and we have to say this. And we don't say it purely verbally. We say it with a little, what do you call, droning motion, as if we are doing Omkar. This is, we sort of elongate the words for you to eat. So there is not just language, there is a kind of sensitivity to the language. And he picks it up and he comes to eat the food. Remember, he cannot eat the food, but he can smell the food. And the minute he or she smells the food, their hunger is, what do you call, appeased. It is like their thirst is quenched. They feel hungry over there. And one of the rules over there is you can't do chori, you can't steal from somebody. In this physical world, if you're looking somewhere, I can steal a chapati from your plate, right? But there I'm not allowed to steal a chapati from your plate, right? So he feels hungry, that person who has gone, he feels hungry. We put the food there. He comes to eat the food, and because we have said this food is for you only, and he comes to eat that food, he smells the food and his hunger is appeased. And in that moment where he comes for the food, we tell a few things to him. We say that what you're seeing is a dream. You are in the dream. You are going to be in this dream world for another 50 days. And whatever you're seeing is a figment of your own imagination. It has come out from your own sanskars. Don't get identified to it. Don't get hypnotized by it. Look at it, and whatever you want to change, ask it to change. And last, we tell him that the guru is next to you. If you can't understand anything, remember to ask the guru for his help. And in that state, that person will find help. And we have helped him in a very big way on his journey in transit. Please understand, this kind of help is much more than any of the ceremonies which we can do, because all the ceremonies, we have forgotten the science behind all the ceremonies. The last thing we tell that person is that if my words have reached you, please give me some indication that, what do you call, it has reached you. If you've lit a lamp, a ghee lamp, before sitting in front of his photo, then you may see the ghee flickering a little and you'll understand that it has reached him. Or you may feel an ant is crawling up your backbone. You will feel it has reached him. Or you may suddenly feel a gust of wind, which will just come and go away, and you will feel it has reached him. For that day, your work is done. Again, next day, if possible at the same time, if not possible at the same time, does not matter. Sit for 5 minutes again and repeat everything. For the first 13, 14 days, 16 days, you will be able to feel that person's presence very powerfully. You will also get a message that what you have said has reached that person. After 16 days, it will dwindle. That does not mean we stop. We continue doing it up to the 45th day. From the 45th day to the 55th day, we add something in that. Now, by the 55th day, that person has decided where he wants to take birth again. So we do this for the person who has gone. On the 45th day, we add something. We go through the same routine, but we say that now the time has come for you to take birth again. We're sitting 6:15. Yeah. You will see images of couples in sex. You will not see images as photos, but in the old days, we used to have negatives with the photos. These days, with digital photography, there are no negatives. But He will see kind of apparitions in sex, and he has to decide where he wants to take birth. And this is the beauty where nature plays a trick on us. If that person has been sleeping for all those 45 days, at this moment, nature pushes that person and asks that person to decide where to take birth. And of course, that person has not practiced, right? And what happens is that in many places, the womb has a gravitational pull. Now, where the womb is very negative, sometimes we are helpless. The womb pulls us, and that soul decides to take birth at this place. So at that time, you have to say that there in the TV, there is a pause button, right? So like we are watching a film on TV and we can pause the film and say, I want to look at this scene a little deeper. Similarly, that person, we whisper in his ear that you will see these images. Please press the pause button and you will see more about that couple where you're going to take birth. Wherever you're automatically being pulled, say no, close that door, tell that door to close and to close immediately. Wherever you see animal kind of sex, where sex is very aggressive, immediately close the door. And again, remind him that the guru is standing next to you. Please ask the guru for help. The guru will tell you where to take birth. So this we whisper in his ear from the 45th day. And we do this continuously till the 55th day. The last thing we tell him is that when you look at the couple, don't get attracted by money and fame and indulgence. Get attracted by right knowledge, right practices. And the final thing which I say is that you say that where Mr. Tauria's exercises are being practiced, I want to take birth there, right? So but you can say that the final thing. And after 55 days, the story is over. You don't have to do anything. You have helped that person a lot. Don't keep too many photographs of that person in the room, in your house. Keep only one if you want. And allow that person now to go unfettered on his journey wherever that person has to go. In a certain dimension of time and space, we are still connected. When I get angry and I pause that anger and I become conscious of that anger, that moment of consciousness which I'm working on myself, wherever that person is, we will be affected by that moment of consciousness, because somewhere in time and space we are connected and consciousness goes across time and space. So if we really want to help him, don't help him by keeping too many photos and remembering him all the time. Help him by rising on the ladder of consciousness, because all our lines of time are connected. And if one person in this line of time rises on the state of consciousness, all these lines of time get affected. Now, at the moment of deciding, that person will feel a slight attraction for one of the couples. That is either to the father or either to the mother. If that soul feels an attraction to the father, the soul will be born as a daughter. If the soul feels an attraction to the mother, the soul will be born as a son. And that can also be done consciously if we have worked upon it. So we must realize that we have this transit state of 55 days. We may not be conscious in that 1 hour of clear light, but if we have worked on our dreams, we can again regain consciousness after 1 hour after death. We may be in a swoon for 1 hour, but after 1 hour, we come to a point where we have practiced every day and we regain consciousness and we work ourselves through those 55 days. Now, when the master cell comes together in the womb of the mother, it starts multiplying in geometric progression. That is, from 1 it becomes 2, 2 becomes 4. Can you see? So much happens in those 9 months of time. So much happens that in our 70 years after that, that much does not happen. That happens in the 9 months of time. Time is moving so rapidly, so rapidly. Or we can say time is moving so slow that so much happens in less time. And this is something which we must understand about our lives. Today, I'm 66 years old. And when I look at time, I may feel that 1 hour of when I was 10 years old is the same 1 hour when I'm 66 years old, right? But it's not the same. In 1 hour when I was 10 years old, the amount which I could put into that 1 hour, I can't even put 1/10 of that in this 1 hour of 66 years. Am I coming across in this? Can you see? Time has slowed down. At the end of the day, I feel that what have I done today? I wanted to do this, and I could only do so much. And this is that time is slowing down. I mean, time is moving very fast for me. The key is unwinding, the key is slowing down, and time is moving fast. Death is approaching faster. I'm going to touch on another point which is not related to this and come back to this. From birth to death, time slows down. That is our experience of time. But in a civilization, it is opposite. When a civilization starts, everything is in the bullock cart stage. Right? I live in Madhopur. There's a beautiful temple in Madhopur. When my grandfather was alive in the 1970s, he told me that when he was very young, 15, 16 years old, he came to Madhopur and they came in a bullock cart from some railway station and they took 1 week to reach Madhopur. Right? Now you get down at the railway station in half an hour, you're in Madhopur. Right? So when a civilization starts, things are moving very slow. When a civilization is about to die, or unless it transforms itself, then things are moving very fast. More and more is happening in less time. When we grow old, less and less is happening in more time. But when a civilization is ripening on the verge of getting extinct, more and more is happening, which we see today, that every day new discoveries, new things are happening, as if the civilization is moving so fast. Somewhere, unless consciously things change, the death knell is round the corner. Just wanted to touch upon this point of time. Less happening in more time, more happening in less time. Anyway, there's this progression of the first master cell. And at the 7th month, 2 things happen. The first master cell, on the physical level, it divides into the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. On the subtle level, it divides into Mooladhara and Swadhisthana. And a whole inner astral body is created by the 7th month. At the 7th month, the old astral body transfers all the sanskars to the new astral. There's a transfer of memory. That is why we have a puja at the 7th month. There is a special transfer of memory from the old to the new. And the new is a replica of the old. It is just like one cell dies over here, but another cell comes and takes up all its functions. The cell is new, but the functions are still the old functions. Similarly, the astral body transfers everything to the new astral body, and the old astral disintegrates. Now, at the moment of birth, when the child cries, it is because the spirit which we had left at the moment of death, in the first hour of death, in the final stub stage of Swaha, it comes down, it penetrates, and it starts the electricity of the Sushumna. The spirit is the electricity of the Sushumna, making an electrical field which brings all the memory of the soul, and the child starts breathing through Ida and Pingala. Now, in the 7th month, because there is a transfer of memory, around the 6th month, or the mother starts feeling a movement of the child in the womb. And if she's doing mantra yoga, that is the what we call all the anuswars in Sanskrit, that is the markars which come after AU, different anuswars. It is, she can communicate to the child through those anuswars, through those different humming sounds. And she can start educating the child from that moment. So at the 7th month, when there is the transfer of the memory, there is some kind of consciousness built in the child. And again, that transfer of memory happens in a different way. And of course, then at birth, the Atma comes in, the spirit comes in. And if the old astral, due to some reason, has not disintegrated, then the new astral has to disintegrate. And at the moment of birth, there will be a stillbirth, or the child will be born, because the old astral, due to some deep desire, which is a very, not a normal case, a very odd case, due to some desire, cannot disintegrate, then it passes through a different cycle, which is not our concern. But this is what I wanted to talk about, the whole approach to death. What is death? How we can work with the death, how we can help a person who has died. I just want to talk a little about light and the relationship of light to memory. When we wake up in the morning, we don't remember our dreams. And one of the ways in remembering the dreams is not to open your eyes. Because the minute we open our eyes and light comes through the eyes, all the dreams are erased. We can't remember them after that. Light makes us forget memory. Can you understand? So the minute the child opens its eyes, everything that has happened in the last few months, it will forget unless it knows how to work with the light. But that is, like we said, in the first hour of death, there is the clear light, and working with the clear light requires a different state of consciousness. But we can definitely work in the transit state, the 55-day dream state. So I think I've covered most of everything. I hope I've been able to come across. Some of the things are a little difficult. If there are any questions, we still have a few more minutes. Any questions?
Anybody wants to ask a question? Rakesh, right?
You said four
No
types of.
questions. Very good. People have understood everything.
Hello, Rajan bhai.
Right.
You said 4 types of this thing. One is emotional thought.
What's the question?
One is sex thought.
How do you?
And wellness thought. Which one is the 4th one?
How do I do it?
Are you able to hear?
Sir, hold on. Sir, hold on for a minute. Sir, hold on for a minute.
Sorry, sir. Sorry, this was not working. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Okay. I said you said 4 types of thoughts. One you said thought, then you said emotional thought, then you said sex. Which is the 4th one?
Death.
Achha,
4 types of energy, not thought, sir. Sir, not
Okay.
thought. 4 types of energy. Energy which goes into thought, energy which makes emotion, and the energy of sex and the energy of death. But I said these are twin energies. They move together. I said that.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Rajan Bhai, Nazia has a question.
Yes, sir.
She says, sir, you talked about spiral of birth and death. Can you please elaborate on this spiral?
Life is a circle, but life is not a circle. It is also a cylinder. So time is a circle. We have the line of time, which is the first dimension of time. And within that, what you call line of time, we experience the circle moving like a spiral. So we have the plane of time, but it is not just a circle. There is a kind of movement up. I'll give you a small example. Supposing I'm consciously working with my anger. So, and Jesus calls this the law of eternal return. But Jesus' big law, I'm just trying to make it into a small thing over here, right? I'm working with my anger for 6 months. I can see that I have not expressed any anger. Not only that, I've had no thoughts of anger. And suddenly one day there's a reaction and I get angry. And then I'm working, how did this happen? Have I lost everything? Have I, all this work which I put in, has it all gone down the drain? But it's not like that. From here I'm moving, I come back, I come to this point where I got angry, but this point of anger is above this point of anger where I got anger. It to me it looks like a circle, but it is a spiral. Can you see? So the movement of life is a spiral. It is not a circle. But in our limited vision, we see things as a single line, which is a circle. And that spiral makes a cube. And there is a cube. I'll give you another. I'll say that, you know, when we look at the planets and science looks at them through the telescope, but they see it as a one-dimensional disk. And then when we look, at the, what do you call our rishis, the form given by our rishis, and so somebody in this form, somebody in that form. Now, supposing we take the earth as a living person, the earth is a living person. How would we visualize that living person? How did the rishis visualize that living person? So what we see of the earth is just this one movement around the sun, which is a one dimension of time, which we call a year. But supposing I was to see the earth in 1,000,000 years, in one glimpse, in one vision, then I would not see the earth as one round disk. I would see it as making so many coils around the sun. I will see it as a man, as a human being, you know, with all the coils, you see, because I'm seeing it in one shot 1,000,000 years. Am I coming across in this? Right? I am not seeing the earth as a day. I am seeing the body of time of the earth. Similarly, our rishis, when they visualize the body of time of the planets, they saw these planets as living human, and they put it down into statues which had the characteristics which they saw. Can you see? Science is seeing through a telescope. It just sees a small one-dimensional disk, right? But the rishis were able to see in millions of years of time all together. And so there they saw that everything is moving in a spiral movement. We don't see the spiral. We just see that one line. The earth is moving around the sun. And we think that is all the properties of the earth. It is not all the properties of the earth. To really see the earth, we must be able to see in that dimension where it's moved 1,000,000 years, and we'll see it as a different living person sort of thing. So everything in this universe has a spiral movement. It is moving in 3 dimensions of time simultaneously. And it is only in deep meditation in rise in consciousness that we slowly get glimpses of the reality of things. I don't know if I've been able to answer her question. I really don't know.
So can I ask a question, sir?
Please, please.
So, like you said about dreams, I usually remember my dreams, and most of the times in my sleeping state, the dream is that something is opening, and I immediately get scared. मेरी awareness उस समय आ जाती है कि मुझे वो dream आ रहा है, and I get scared, and what is on the other side, I'm scared to watch it, but it opens.
Next time it comes,
Yes.
before you go to bed, concentrate on one thought that next time it comes, I will surrender.
Okay.
I'll surrender, and help will come immediately. The minute you give in surrender, and you'll be taken through the wormhole. You'll move. Don't get frightened. It is a very fast movement through the wormhole, but it will happen. It will be as if from a cloud, a hand comes, catches your hand, and takes you.
Okay.
Right? You remember, there's the very famous story of Rabindranath Tagore. He says, my whole life, I was working to enter a certain door, a door of consciousness. And one day I came to that door. And then I asked myself, okay, if I enter through this door, what will happen? So again, I went back searching. I know that door is there, but I don't want to enter because I'm frightened of what will happen after that. Go through it. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Rajan bhai, it seems she is getting an invite for astral travel. So,
Good evening, sir. I have a doubt too.
Yes, sir, please.
who is
So,
there?
yeah.
Ankita.
It's a silly doubt, actually. You said that Atma or the soul does the darshan of light, which is consciousness or Paramatma, right?
Atma, we won't say Paramatma. We will say Atma. Atma is Paramatma.
Yeah. What is soul? What is spirit? What is Atma? What is Paramatma? And what is consciousness? Just
I think I answered in a previous talk. Maybe you are not there. Okay.
May I ask?
Yeah, please.
May I ask a question? Hello.
Yeah, can I answer hers first? Or
First, let Rajan bhai answer Ankita's question.
Yeah.
And even Harsha Parekh has that question. She asks, I don't understand the difference between soul and spirit. Can you please?
yeah. How can a soul does the darshan of the spirit if the soul? I mean, spirit is the requirement of having. Who's the doing darshan?
Okay. There is a sun.
Yeah.
We say the Gayatri mantra. There is a sun,
Yes.
right? And there's a ray of the sun.
Yeah.
The ray of the sun enters the soil and gives life to plant, to a plant, right?
Yeah.
So where is the ray of the sun? Trapped in the body of the plant.
Yes.
Is the light of the ray different from the light of the sun?
No.
No. But still the plant is different from the sun.
Yeah. Yes.
You understand? The plant is the soul. The sun is the Atma. Now, I'll try to give it to you in another way. Supposing we say that there's this guy called the Atma, and he wants to experience life. He wants to experience life, right? So he sends his secretary. Can you go and experience and come back and explain to me what is life, right? Now, why he wants to experience life is wrong question.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to ask that question.
Agree.
In the most I can say he got indigestion or something, right?
Yeah.
So he sends out a ray. He sends out a ray. Now, what was the original desire, which in Shastra this is called as his Ichha Shakti. to experience life. Right? Now, where do all our experiences come from? Where do all our experiences come from? Supposing I get angry, right? Let us take an example. I get angry on you, not getting angry on you, right? What is the software which in me which creates that anger? What is the software? There has to be some software in this computer which manifests as anger. Where does it come? Huh?
Patterns.
It comes from the planets.
Planets.
Can you get it? So that manifestation of anger will have the magnetism of Mars. You understand? It is the magnetism of Mars which creates anger. But supposing I'm having a birthday party, I'm very happy. What is allowing me to be happy? It is the magnetism of Jupiter, which creates the software to be happy. But I want to cheat you. So I have this cunning mind and I want to cheat you of something. Right? So what allows me to experience this emotion that I want to cheat you? It is the negative magnetism of Mercury. You understand what I'm trying to say? Yes. Now that initial Atma, it wanted, what did it send out its ray to? Plant. Experience. Yeah. Right? Yeah. All experiences are lying in the planets. Every experience which we have in our psychic structure comes from the planets. It is the magnetism of the planets which allows us to experience. So the minute that ray separates from the sun, comes out of the sun, right? It is surrounded by planetary material which we call as an astral body. Why is it surrounded by planetary material? Because it wanted to experience. Can you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
And there is a cut from the sun. There is a cut from the sun. So there is a massive drop in vibration, as if I go into a swoon. Can you understand? Yeah. It forgets that it was a part of the sun. In that swoon of experiencing, right? I sent out my secretary, you go and experience, but my secretary forgot that he's my secretary. Can you understand? Right? Yeah. And instead of taking the experiences and going back to the sun and saying, these are the, it gets attached to experience. Nice. So it says Rag Dvesh, I'm attached to good experience. I want bad experience. I run away from bad. The Shastras call this as Rag Dvesh. You understand? And it collects this patterns of wanting more of Rag and not wanting more of Dvesh. It collects all these patterns and it gets trapped in these patterns. It's so long away when it was a part of the sun, but it is still the light of the sun. It is still the light of the sun. The Atma is not good. The Atma is not bad. The Atma does nothing. Everything that is done by the soul, the Jeev. Can you understand what I'm trying? It separates and it has to go through this long journey till it frees itself and it realizes that it was just an agent of that guy up there. It has to go back and say that all this I experienced, instead of saying that I experienced, I got attached to the experience. Now you understand. So what is the difference between soul and spirit? Spirit is pure light and soul is light trapped in planetary bodies, in planetary structure, in an astral body. And that astral body then, to be free to realize, it has to take a physical body. Now you understand what I'm trying to say. This is the difference between what you call Jeev and Atma.
And the soul comes at 7th month and Atma comes at 9th, at birth. Through
yes,
Sushumna.
The soul gets all its memory at the 7th month.
7th month.
See, so many things happen at the 7th month. I am born. but I'm born in a Hindu family. I cannot decide to be born in another family unless I've decided at the 55th day. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Right now, whatever happens at the 7th month, now that connotation with Hindu family, whatever, whether it is good matter, bad matter, data is there, is going to come in at the 7th month. And I'm a victim of that data. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So
Sir,
all that
vice
data
versa,
is part.
sir, vice versa can also happen, right? You said that the soul chooses parents. Parents can, if enlightened parents are there, they can also choose the soul. Is it possibility? I'm just asking.
We won't go straight to enlightenment.
I mean,
We will choose at least
evolved.
more evolved,
More
at least one step higher on the ladder of consciousness.
Yeah.
We won't go to the final ladder,
Yes,
the final
yes.
step, but at least one step higher on the ladder of consciousness. Right? We want to progress, and all progression is not in one life. Right? So it is a series of lifetimes through which we progress.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you so much.
No more questions. Sir?
May I ask, sir, one
Yes,
question?
yes, sir. Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
very sorry. You had asked.
Namaste, sir. My name is Vatsala. Your sessions have been transformational for me in many ways. I'm very grateful to you. You have explained how we can help another person at the moment of death. I would like to know how we can prepare for death so that at the last moment, we are in a position to remember our guru or go to a higher level of consciousness.
Like I said, one of the ways is we work for the transit state, that is to work on dreams. And later on, we work to catch the exact moment when we fell asleep every night. If today I asked you last night, at what moment did you exactly go to sleep, it will be very difficult for you to say. So we try to create a new memory of what was but this is a very difficult thing to do because we are so tired at night that to be aware and to hold that moment of consciousness. So we start by working on our dreams and then we go back to working to that moment when we fell into the swoon of sleep. And if we can be awake and now I'm falling into sleep, many things will change for us at that moment.
So one small thing, people say that we do dream, but when I wake up, I am never conscious of any dreams. Maybe once or twice a year, I have dreams and they are significant dreams, like being in a temple or some lost memory. But otherwise, I am not aware of any dreams. I normally have dreamless sleep.
In Gujarati, we say, "Oh, nasib wala cho." You're a very fortunate person.
Okay.
But I'll take one session on dreams, and
Yes.
in that I'm going to try to teach you how to go into a dream. So
Yes.
this will be a little different from what you're saying. And
Yes.
it will
How we can help.
It will involve going through a certain exercises and all that. So
Okay.
maybe in future I can take one session on dreams.
Thank you very much, sir. How we can help ourselves. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
That's
My pleasure. Don't thank me. Thank my
Oh.
guru.
So there is Mr. Shivank. He has raised his hand. If he can ask.
Emma,
Ji, sir.
what we can do is that we can ask people to, write down their questions and maybe on the next session because we have already
So
overstarted.
sir, Mr. Shivank ने बहुत सबसे पहले से हाथ खड़ा करके रखा है.
Okay.
उनको next question of Mr. Shivank. Mr. Shivank, you can please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hema ji. I'm Jayant. I'm father of Shivank. I'm using the iPad on which Shivank has given his name. So it appears as Shivank, but I'm Jayant. With the permission of God Sahab, I'll quickly ask my question to Rajiv ji. Rajiv ji, I've got two questions which are coming out of this talk, though I'll wait for your talk when you talk about the dreams. My question is that the first question, both the questions are related to each other. The first question is that you said usually we don't remember the dreams. Yes, the same is the case with me also. I don't remember the dreams when I get up. But you said there is a way we can remember the dreams. What is that way? I want to know. This is my first question. And once you reply to this, I'll ask a related question. Thank you.
No, that is why I said that I gave you that hint that if you open your eyes, light comes through the eyes and you won't be able to remember. So idea is that when you wake up in the morning is not to open the eyes and to go back to the last dream which you were dreaming. And this is from where the training starts, right? And not to get up till we have remembered at least one dream.
No, I also usually do the same thing. I don't immediately open up my eyes. I remain in that state for some time, and thereafter, after getting up, I do some kind of affirmation also before opening the eyes. And when I open the eyes, I look at the center of my palms, which is what I've been advised, that to conserve the energy, that is the best way to do it. I do it, but I rarely remember the dreams.
No, again,
I feel probably there were no dreams.
No, there are always dreams.
Yeah.
There are different, we pass through so many kinds of dreams.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that when you go to sleep at night, make one more affirmation that in the morning when you wake up, you will keep your eyes closed and go back to the last dream and try to remember the last dream. And give yourself 5 minutes every day to do that. Within a month or so, you will start remembering your dreams.
Give yourself 5 minutes, you said?
Give yourself 5 minutes every morning. That when you won't open your eyes, at night you have made an affirmation that you will remember your dream on waking up and keep your eyes closed and try to go back to the dream.
Right. Okay. Now the second related question is this. I complete it very quickly. God Sahib has already put some time limit. That is that once in a while I remember the dream. And that dream, when I remember, is a dream of some day-to-day activities, and then I remember that this particular dream I have seen number of times, but never before that I remember that dream. Same sequence, same events keep happening again and again, but I never recall that dream. One fine day, I will remember that dream, and then I will recall, yes, I have seen this dream many times in the past, and thereafter that dream will stop coming.
See, the thing is that in the brain, there are certain circuits which happen in a loop. I don't know if you go, especially in America, and some people, they have their houses, you go into a drive, but the drive goes round like this. The road ends there. The lane does not go further into another lane. So there's a kind of round, and you go back and you have to go back from entering the road where you entered over there. So the road goes into a loop. And similarly, due to so many of our mechanical actions, many of our brain patterns, they go in a loop, and we keep on looping around in the same circuit. This is called as deja vu, right? And deja vu is not that I have seen the same thing. It is electricity following the same path in the brain. So don't worry about that. We won't talk. I'm more, interested in bringing consciousness to the dream. What is the dream? About the dream, I'm not interested in interpreting the dream. I don't know if I can come across in this. Am I a witness to the dream? Do I know that I'm dreaming? And then later on we will think of changing the dream. So to bring consciousness, you see, this is also a dream where I am just now, right? One day I want to wake up from this dream. But at a minor level, can I wake up from the dream in the night? The experience is the same. Can you understand? But at a smaller scale, right? And that is called awakening, to be able to awake. Right? So my aim is not what are the dreams and how to interpret the dreams and what the dreams mean. Those are not my aim. My aim is to help you to awaken in the dream, to rise on the ladder of consciousness. That is my aim.
Thank you so much.
Rajan bhai, maybe the topic for your next talk is cutout dreams.
Okay, we will take
lucid dreaming, or shall we call it lucid dreaming?
we can call it lucid dreaming also, and we can also call it conscious dreaming.
Conscious.
And but I will also give a lot of exercises what to do.
Okay, so you can take as many. I mean, if it cannot be completed in a session, you can.
So it can be completed in a session. We'll complete it in a session.
Okay.
Because I'm getting a little feeling, that you call so many other people, and now because I'm taking so much of your time, that am I blocking other people? That is my
No,
only...
not at all. Not at all.
I mean, anytime, Gorji, anytime you feel, just tell me now, you stop from here. So don't bother about that.
No, everybody is really, totally engrossed and they're liking it. And even some of those people who are, in the line to give the talks, they are enjoying your talks. So there is absolutely no issue there.
Okay, sir. So we'll talk about dreams next time.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Right.
So,
hello.
My granddaughter is here. She wants to fool around.
Hello. Okay, sir, you can now.
So now we just close with the closing mantras. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadgurunath Maharaj ki jai.